Major update. The magic sink dispenses far more than water. It'll make food appear. Whatever you ask for. I'm gonna get so fat.
You are being hailed.
On screen. What's up?
The ceiling, of course. Starfleet shuttlecraft, we need assistance. Can you lead us back to your mother vessel?
I mean, she went out for a pack of smoke, said she'd be gone all day.
Curious. A shuttle cannot be far from its ship. Where is it?
No cap. I'm kinda out here on my own, but we can just keep that our little secret.
We will have to report this encounter to Starfleet.
Hey, didn't you say you needed some assistance? Why don't you just tell me what's going on and see if I can help?
Only because the situation is becoming dire would I even consider such a proposal. Survival may require a shift of logic. We were sent to a distress call from one of our vessels, and discovered the crew had destroyed themselves after going mad through disease. After our survey, and procuring their payload, we found ourselves becoming afflicted as well. Some of our crew had become erratic and unstable, committing insane behaviors that put themselves and others at risk. Yet it is vitally imperative to get the medicinal payload to the colony on Dingus 7 as they are suffering a monstrous outbreak of space AIDS.
Okay, check it out. How about I take the medicine to the colony, you guys figure your shit out, and we call it even.
I find myself without much of a choice. What is your name?
Captain Pecan. Alright, looks like I gotta run some drugs to some outpost. Let me set the autopilot. Okay, nothing to do but sit back and watch the next mission. So, I present to no one the naked now. Gross. Let's hope this mission is as good as or better than the first.
It's not.
This mission starts with the Enterprise going to a collapsing red supergiant star to check on a research vessel, the Soyokovsky, that was monitoring the star when they sent out some odd messages. They rendezvous with the science vessel just in time to hear a phone sex operator give a short pitch, before someone in the background of that ship opens an emergency hatch, causing rapid depressurization and termination of communication. Riker gathers Data, Geordi, and Tasha to head to the ship while Worf declares no life signs aboard. The boarding party head to the disco dance floor room and then allow themselves to be ripped apart atom by atom and have their blueprint put into a machine, and then Wi-Fi'd that blueprint over to the other ship and molecularly constructed perfect copies with copies of their neural patterns. So they died, and those are Xerox clones. Yeah, no wonder that old dude demanded a shuttlecraft in the last mission. On the other ship with the copies, they find a mess. Really, it's just the same set as their ship, shot from the side halls that they don't use, with dark lighting and clutter. They discover the emergency hatch on the bridge was open and everyone blown out into space. The rest of the ship froze to death when they turned off environmental controls. They even find someone frozen in uniform in the shower. This girl is so obviously not dead that it's pathetic. And when they cut for the Geordi insert after dropping her, why didn't they wipe away the powder first? Oh look, it's makeup. There's a chime that rings when Geordi touches frozen shower girl, by the way. Riker tells Picard that they're all dead, and they play their awesome title sequence. The song is epic. The ship zooms back and forth. There's names. Anyways, they start scouring the science vessel's notes for an estimate on the star's collapse. Meanwhile, Picard asks Dr. Crusher about the medical notes on what happened over there. She says they recorded no anomalous tricorder readings. Picard says bring the away team back, with full decontamination on the death Xeroxes he calls transporters. Down in sickbay, the doctor is scanning the away team and finds them all normal. But she visually notices Geordi sweating, and Geordi gets agitated, causing the doctor to confine him to sickbay. Riker finds Data and has him scour the future Google for anything he can find that sounds like their current situation. There's an offhand and overly forced moment of introspection for the android here. That's all I'm willing to say about it. More pressingly, Crusher walks away from her quarantine patient, who escapes the medbay and just wanders off into the ship to infect everyone. The doctor informs security that he's left his communicator to find him as well. We then see Geordi watching Wesley play with a tractor beam toy that he made. The little prodigy, then shows Geordi a device he's programmed with everyone's voice that he's sampled from the ship's tannoy. Geordi is impressed and amused by this, but Jesus, that should be illegal on a starship, 'cause he could really misuse that shit. Geordi touches Wesley, and we hear the chime. Geordi then starts to flare up. Literally. He's sweating and burning up. Tasha finds him in the observation lounge and requests a team. Geordi begs her for help, as his mind seems to be fracturing into madness. And you know, my sister had that same hair clip in the early 90s, brother. Geordi grabs Tasha's arms, and her his, but nothing happens, even though Geordi got infected through a uniform. They then touch hands, and he touches her face. But it's when she grabs his hands we finally hear the infection chime. I guess it's bacteria that work on the 5-second rule or something. They get Geordi back to sickbay, but Tasha's feeling a little hot and walks away. The doctor tells Picard they used full contamination and can't find anything, so she can't explain what's going on. Back with Riker and Data, they find a historical record of a similar event happening to an older Enterprise captained by James T. Kirk. They download the records and send them to medical, patting themselves that they've solved it. Then we catch up with Tasha having committed B&E on Troy's quarters, when Troy finds Tasha trying on Troy's clothes and acting drunk. Tasha acts like a hoe and leaves. Troy informs the captain of the exchange. They keep forcing in moments for Data where he either doesn't understand basic things or is overly knowledgeable. It's actually kind of smart, as I said last time, considering he's programmed, but it's feeling overused and forced by the second mission. Next, we find Wesley annoying his mother and acting like he's gotten into his dad's Bud Lights. He brags about widening and strengthening his beam, even though before he lifted a chair and now he's lifting a small trinket. Dr. Crusher tells Wesley to quarantine himself in quarters, and he mouths off before complaining about the heat. We then follow Tasha around as she tries to act seductive and aroused. She slinks around and makes out with random dudes. Good shit. Thankfully, we go back to the bridge, where the captain is complaining about how long it takes to download the Sokolowski's records. He's worried about the star, and Data plants a seed of foreshadowing by reminding the captain that they could easily outrun the star on quarter impulse. Down in engineering, we hear the chief engineer called to the bridge over the tannoy, and then the assistant chief engineer was called to medical. Wesley comes in, holding his devices, saying, "It's cool, I'll hold it down." On the bridge, the engineer finds Picard confused about her being on the bridge, when Picard's voice comes over the tannoy, granting acting captain status to Wesley Crusher. Picard is stunned to hear his disembodied voice make this command. Jesus, space diseases are everywhere. Thank God I got all those medical supplies from that pointy-eared guy. Yeah, I think I should probably just keep those. What if I need them?
You are being hailed.
Speak of the devil. On screen.
Captain Pecan, we are working diligently to find a cure for the madness spreading amongst our ship. It is obvious to us now that we were infected during our recovery efforts of the freighter. Have you any information regarding such an infection?
Inebriated, hyperthermic, falling into deranged and delusional states?
Exactly. Do you know anything that could be of help?
Nope. So anyway, back on the Enterprise, Captain Crusher has declared diabetes for all with dessert before and after every meal. Everyone's drunk and acting more and more like mindless primates. Wesley has set up his tractor beam as kind of a force field, keeping himself locked in the engineering station. Picard orders Riker, he calls number 1, and the chief engineer McDougal to get that boy out of there. Picard tries to call his chief of security, but Tasha is in her quarters and mouthing off, telling the captain to get bent and calling him Jean-Luc. Picard sends the android to get her and take her to sickbay. But when Data finds Tasha in her quarters, she just says let's bang instead. And the android, who is on duty and has orders, says, fuck it, why not, let's bang. They use this moment to get the worst time to force this backstory ever achievement, with Tasha saying she was taken at 5 and has only known cold violence and rape gangs her whole life, with her flawless skin. She then says she needs tenderness and asks the robot if he's also a sex bot. And Data's like, oh yeah, I'm packing and preloaded with the Kama Sutra. And she squeals to know that she'll be riding the Federation's most advanced sex toy. Down in engineering, the situation is fucked. Riker finds the kid barricaded in with the afflicted assistant engineer, who's pulled out all the isolinear chips. And now no one can get the ship to do anything. They're dead in the water because someone pulled out their SD cards. That's a design flaw. After Riker updates Picard, he orders McDougal to short out the power, so she starts off on that. While working on it with her, Riker is approached by Troy, who calls him Bill, then says her empathy nerve is lightning rodding all the crew's sexuality right now, and she's melting for him. She's splooshing Niagara Falls, and he takes her to sickbay. Meanwhile, in sickbay, we see Geordi complaining he's never seen a rainbow, Like motherfucker wasn't on Reading Rainbow. Riker brings in Troy and drops her off, and right after infecting himself, he touches the doctor as she's informing him the old Enterprise formula didn't work. It's slightly different, and the infection has probably mutated. Now infected herself, she sets to the vaccine variation, and Riker storms off to get the ship back. Picard argues with Wesley over the front screen. Wesley is petulant and annoying, but so is everyone else. He's not exactly being completely mutinous either. He still wants Picard to run the ship. Wesley just wants to be the one to take the orders and be a crewman. Picard says he needs his ship back so he can lock a tractor beam on the Tsiolkovsky. But before he can say what he needs to do with it, the kid excitedly says, "No worries, Skip, I'll hit you up when I'm done," and cuts the feed. With everyone spiraling into non-functioning mad children, Worf informs the captain the star is about to collapse. The ship's tractor beam locks onto the smaller vessel, and Data stumbles onto the bridge, saying he can also be infected because his artificial skin has artificial pores and fingerprints molded in. He has chemicals that can leak like humans bleed. So his metal and plastic brain is infected. This is stupid. The doctor then comes in and demands to see the captain in his ready room, and Data falls over. In the ready room, the doctor unzips and demands the captain's log. He clears his throat in the weirdest way. Maybe it was a chuckle. It's weird. She says she hasn't had the comfort of a man, and he owes her because he brought her husband's body back, so that tracks, I guess. Picard does a coy wave at the departing doctor, and Worf informs Riker that the captain and Data are infected and useless. All of a sudden, the star explodes, and a huge shockwave rips through space, doing nothing to them. In fact, they're worried about a huge chunk of the star that's flying right at them. Very slowly. Picard can't form a sentence anymore, so Riker says, "Get us out of here!" Worf goes back and forth from console to console, like that would fix everything. Shockingly, it doesn't. In engineering, McDougal cuts the power to Wesley's tractor beam toy and gets in, but she can't get all the isolinear chips in 14 minutes. It would take her over 2 hours. Wesley suggests using the drunk android to do it, as he could get them in much faster, barring any drunken mistakes. Meanwhile, the star material of some golden blobby terrestrial type slowly floats over. It's like right there and was violently ejected, right? But Riker says there's 8 minutes left on the ticking clock, and Data spoils it for him by saying he cannot possibly make it in time. Meanwhile, Picard and the Doctor are being weird again, this time over titles, when she reveals she has a new antidote to test on Geordi. And back in engineering, Riker bemoans needing just 1 more minute for Data to get the chips. It looks like certain doom, until Boy Wonder magically technobabbles the ship into a larger version of his toy. He reverses the tractor beam to make a force field like he did to barricade engineering, but with the ship's tractor beam on the Tsiolkovsky, creating a repulsor beam that pushes them away just in time. The Tsiolkovsky is destroyed, but Data gets the chips loaded. Riker tells the bridge to engage engines, so of course they just go straight to warp. I'm new to all this, but it feels like warping isn't something you do willy-nilly. It's planned and charted, ordered by high-ranking superiors, or just done randomly in desperation to get out of jams. Worf could have just moved up a little bit. It's 3D space. Picard says all clear, and thanks go to Data and Wesley. It's schmaltzy and overly forgiving. You can say, oh, the boy was drunk, but that doesn't pardon people from crimes in the real world either. Picard gives a pep talk on abstinence, and they warp off to their next adventure, which I hope is much better than this awkward, horrible shit. I get what they're saying about the first season now. Real time. The Naked Now aired on October 5th, 1987. The episode presented an opportunity for the newly formed crew of the Enterprise to face an audience-familiar challenge. The idea behind The Naked Now was inspired by the original Star Trek series episode titled The Naked Time. In an attempt to pay homage to the classic series, or just recycle ideas, the writers chose to recreate the plotline. However, this decision was met with some apprehension by some of the producers and writers, as they were eager to establish the next generation as its own entity, distinct from its predecessor. Nevertheless, they proceeded with the script, aiming to put their unique spin on the concept. As with many early episodes of a television series, this one faced tight production schedules and limited resources. With only a few weeks to complete the episode, the cast and crew had to work tirelessly to meet deadlines, which impacted aspects of the episode's overall quality. The initial script encountered several rewrites. Writers struggled to find the right balance between nostalgia and innovation, often reworking scenes and dialogue to ensure the episode fit well within the context of the new era. But some writers have since admitted that the episode could have been stronger had they not felt bound by the need to reference its predecessor. One of the episode's primary challenges was how to effectively portray the characters' altered states due to the influence of the polywater intoxication. The actors were excited to take on the challenge of playing out of character, but striking the right balance between humor and authenticity proved demanding. Some critics praised the performances for their comedic value, while others felt it diminished the characters' depth. I'm in the latter camp. Despite the difficulties faced during production, the episode did succeed in showcasing the chemistry and dynamics among the Enterprise crew. The intimate interactions and confessions during the episode allowed viewers to gain insights into the characters' vulnerabilities and insecurities. This would prove to be a valuable foundation for their development in future episodes. The episode stirred debate from fans and critics alike, with some embracing its lighthearted and playful approach, and others seeing it as an early misstep for the fledgling series, with the latter preferring for the show to just focus on its own unique storytelling. The Naked Now may not be considered one of Star Trek The Next Generation's better episodes, but it showcased the challenges of balancing nostalgia with innovation and the pressure of meeting production deadlines, while laying the groundwork for future character development.
You are being hailed.
Oh yeah, that guy. On screen. Hey, Buddy the Elf, how'd that polywater hangover go for you?
We were able to remedy the affliction aboard our vessel. Why were you unable to deliver the medicinal supplies to Dingus 7?
Oh, no worries, man. I dropped that off hours ago. Left it with Gerald. Said he'd take care of it.
I can clearly see the crate we beamed onto your shuttle. It is right behind you. You have broken the terms of your own immoral arrangement. You have left us no option but to confiscate the medical supplies and your shuttle. We will then take you to the nearest Starfleet outpost for judicial repercussions. Lock tractor beam.
Oh shit. Well, okay, Legolas, let me show you a trick I learned today. If I reroute the back-end manifold couplings through the dilithium matrix and amplify it into the shields, I will create a feedback loop on your tractor beam and turn it into a repulsor beam. I'm Captain Jack Sparrow, bitch!
He took our medical supplies and escaped in the stolen shuttlecraft. We are transmitting his last known location and heading.
Good. Now I'm making this manhunt my personal #1 priority.